Speak about how your thoughts and how you feel about, the state that our young Black men are in.
Well, I say that it's kind of discouraging sometimes to a point, just because you have you just have so much going on in times that I'm not going to say wasn't going on when I was younger, but it's definitely increased overall, just as far as crime and depression and theft, really a lot of things. And I feel like maybe we're as a community could be doing better to help our youth out, because our youth don't really have a lot of examples. It feels like to follow examples that they do are leading them on a path of destruction, and it doesn't seem like they at least care, you
Uh-huh.
know.
Mm-hmm.
So getting them to care about themselves, for one, is something that I feel like could help to make a change.
And when you say, William, to help them out, the community can do more to help them out. What types of things do you have in mind? How can we help? As an older generation, as a community, what can we do to help these young men, adolescents?
Um, I feel like we could just be there more and provide more love and guidance than what we do. Because I feel like now it's kind of to a point where there's a disconnect between kind of like the older generation and the younger generation. Neither kind of respects either. The older people don't want to be involved necessarily with the younger people anymore, just because of what's going on. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
it may be fear of what's going on, if they've given up. But I feel like that we can help to bridge the gap, whether it's being around or helping them as they're younger rather than they're older, even though the older kids could still use guidance too. But the
Mm-hmm.
younger you get to them and be able to instill certain values, or you can have a better or a better impact on them, the younger that we can get to the kids.
Yeah, so you're saying as a community to start pouring into them at a younger age.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and I get it and I understand. If you all can hear me, comment and say, yes, I can hear you. Just give me a comment. I need to know you all are there with me. And I hear what you're saying. And we are talking about depression and suicide because, good morning, Miss Correa Scott. um, because as we see what's happening in society, and I do believe that we should start younger. But let me just say this: it's so heartbreaking because, as you know, I am a mental health therapist, and I would go into the preschools, and I would spend time with the kids, and I would these are troubled kids in preschool, like from ages 3, and then have to go to the homes of the children to talk to the parents. So what was heart wrenching to me is that you have them for a while, you love on them, you talk to them, you care for them, but then you have to give them back and place them back into a dysfunctional home. So it's like, what's going on here?
That's how I say it could be tough because of the kids today. Parents don't feel the responsibility to be parents to them.
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of let them raise themselves or let the internet raise them, and
That's a good point.
and it's
That's because nothing can take place of the human factor.
right.
You can't. Yeah, as convenient it is for us parents to sit the children down in front of the TV and give them a gadget, nothing can replace the human factor. They still need love, they still need nurturing, and they still need guidance,
Right.
is what I hear you saying. So
Yeah.
we have to slow down.
Yeah, and actually take time to be there, or and help nurture their skills. I feel like a lot of people don't know themselves, or they don't really know what they're good at, like, because they never have been in a nurturing environment to pull out their
Mhm.
their strengths or their talents or whatever. And rather than that, they're just kind of getting they see a lot of comparison between themselves and the next person, and instead
Mhm.
of focus on themselves, it just causes a bigger kind of like jealousy and things like that that help to feed into most of the stuff that we have going on today.
Yeah, and I'm interested to know too. My daughter, your sister's here, Camille Owens. Good morning. I would be interested to see what your thoughts are about homeschooling, because we're talking about building a community, a nurturing, loving environment for the children. But now homeschooling is such a big thing now. What are your thoughts about that as far as the well-being of the children?
Um, Homeschooling is interesting because you have it could be beneficial to some kids who maybe get too distracted around a lot of people, but at the same time, it creates an equal balance to help to be around other kids, in the actual like setting, just because you can learn so many skills
Mm-hmm.
from interacting and learning how to deal with certain situations. It also I know sometimes like just being somewhere by yourself for so long could help to develop sort of depression, because you don't feel like you have friends or anyone you can actually talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, like, growing up, if you're like in school, you meet people that you could have uh, positive connections with
Yeah.
for the rest of your life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Like
know,
you
yeah,
still got buddies from
yeah,
preschool and elementary school.
yeah. And it's also kind of, I feel like it could help to get you around kids from different parts of the city, so that everybody just kind of knows each other, can kind of feel that love early on. Because half the time now it's like different parts of the cities have beef with other people from other sides of the cities. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel like if you were able to kind of grow up around them, whether it's some kind of camp or whatever, it kind of make it easier. So when you go across town, you guys can be more friendly. And even
Mm-hmm.
if you're not, it doesn't just hurt to be nice.
That's right.
You don't have
You
to.
sound like your grandpa right now. It's just nice to be nice.
Yeah, it makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, and Camille says there's definitely pros and cons with homeschooling. Can you share some of that also, Camille? And in case you're wondering why I have on red today, we're talking about cardiovascular health. Today is that day where we want to be mindful, take recognition, and think about your overall health. You know, your heart is the most important muscle, most important organ in the body. Without your heart, we don't exist.
Right.
We don't exist. When is the last time you had an overall health exam, a full physical? Good question. We because a lot of these conditions, it's too late. It's usually too late.
Right.
All right. Correa says homeschooling is tricky because I believe at some point human interaction is necessary because it teaches you different response mechanisms, etc. Some of those you can learn from parents, but not all the time, because parents are supposed to protect you. Absolutely. And what I love about school too is cultural diversity.
Right.
Because you mentioned, different parts of the city, but then you have different cultures,
Right.
in one setting too. So again, we're talking about the state of William is here today because of his love and passion for our young men today in the state that they are in. They have a hobby of stealing cars. They're dropping out of school. Do we have any stats to talk about suicide at all?
So we have so what I did was some research, just kind of varies on like I have stats among drug deaths, which can be related to depression,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So like per 100,000 per population, there are about 62 male deaths and about 30 for females. However, in ranges between ages 15 to 24,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see that there are about 23 deaths per year. And ages 25 to 34, there are about 88 deaths per year for overdoses or drug-related deaths.
Wow.
So
Is this citywide or national?
this is for Ohio.
For Ohio.
This is for Ohio.
Wow.
Yeah, so
it's still astronomical.
Yeah, I said it's a lot. When you look at that, that's at least about a little over 100 a year.
Yeah.
And you put that in perspective of how much that we're on losing those amount of people. We don't know what dreams that they had, or what kind of changes that they could have made to the world, and they're gone a lot earlier. And just kind of, like I said, it's sad because we're basically just losing a whole generation of people and limitless talent. So
right. And when you commit suicide, apparently these people don't know their potential either.
Right. And that stems from, like I said, the depression of, like I said, maybe you're in a home where you're not getting that positive reinforcement, or like I said, that nurturing environment to make you feel like you're worth something.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And good morning, my mother-in-law, your grandma, Marva Bozeman is here. Good morning, Mom. And it just makes me wonder too about nature versus nurture, because oftentimes what I have experienced in my field is that some people come from loving, nurturing homes.
Yeah.
And then they get around certain people, they hang around the wrong group of people, they begin to take on their identity. Right. You know what I mean? And then some of them are still, depressed, they're sad, they're committing suicide. So, it's wonderful for parents to do all that they can do to make sure that they're instilling values and principles into their children, but not to feel bad if it does not work out long term, because at the end of the day, all we can do is all we can do.
Right. Yes. And that kind of just goes along, like once you do all you can, it just kind of goes to a point of checking in and checking on those people that you think are okay, because there are people all the time that you look up and you're like, wow, who would ever thought, so it just kind of goes into checking in and being a good neighbor, a good friend, or at least make them feel like they're loved by you, or that they have importance to you, and that could go a long way.
That's a very good point, to make sure we're checking in to let them know that you are important, that your life matters, that you are loved. Yeah. Because nowadays we're so busy and we don't take time out. It's nothing to go a whole month without reaching out to somebody that you love. You know how much can happen in a day's time.
Right.
I say, what a difference a day can make.
Yeah, so you just have to now we can just text or whatever. You don't have to be a whole conversation, you can just send a simple text like, hey, let me know if you need anything, or, you can send a text just saying, I love you. Hit me up if you need me.
That goes a long way.
That could change a person's entire day or their entire
mood. A smile can change somebody's day.
Right.
A touch like, hey, how you doing? Or whatever. Yeah. A touch goes a long way. Before we get into some of the symptoms of depression, Camille says regarding the homeschooling, this is a pro. I can identify what they can work on as far as schoolwork, and they have leisure to learn new extracurricular things. Cons, they definitely miss the peer interactions and handling basic conflicts and resolutions with the world. Yeah.
I agree.
definitely pros and cons. I think a big factor is the SEL, the social and emotional learning that is extremely important. We can learn math and we can learn science. We can learn that anywhere, at home, at school. But that social interaction, you got to be around people.
Yeah.
You got to be around different people,
Right.
you know. Correa says we have to be more attentive to those around us. Our technology and busy schedules are stopping that. Yeah. So we have to be diligent about making sure of that. And we talk about that all the time, but the reality is we're still not doing it. I see some clients who have so much guilt because a loved one has committed suicide. And I cannot express enough. We won't always know the signs.
Right.
You know what I mean? We won't always know them, but then we won't have the guilt if we know we're checking in.
Right.
We know we're making a phone call.
Right. Yeah. And that's, there have been times over the years where I'll think about somebody and I don't text them or whatever for whatever reason. And then you find out that they're not here anymore. And you're like, you do feel like, dang, I wonder if I could have changed that to a certain degree, even though like it's ultimately their choice, but you don't want to just like have a feeling of what if, because
That's right.
that feeling,
That's the worst feeling.
yeah, I say it doesn't go away. So
Yes. Larry Martin is here today. Good morning, son.
so
Good morning to you. Now, let me ask you, with your peer group, okay, I know what I see in counseling with the adults, but like among your peer and your generation, do you see a lot of like sadness and depression among them? And if so, how do they handle it and how do you handle it?
a lot of times it's kind of hard to tell to a certain point, especially with people I know. I kind of have to kind of pull it out of them, or just kind of,
Because you see something.
yeah, and when you know somebody for so long, you can kind of you can even feel when the energy is different, and then they don't necessarily have to say anything, but after a while, when you notice like certain patterns, like we normally talk every so often, but it's been double that now, or or you haven't seen or heard from them in any type of way, or nobody else does, that's when like I kind of like to, I'll even pull up or just drive by to make sure everything is okay, because so you don't really know, so it's up to you to kind of ask, because people will even tell you that that they're okay,
Right.
and then that they're lying. So like I said, sometimes you kind of have to pull out of them or make yourself available, or like I said, it goes back to letting them know that you care, because a lot of people don't feel like, everybody feels like everybody has problems, so that theirs aren't necessarily big enough to anybody else.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes you just gotta have to make the time to deal with that, before it snowballs into other habits.
Yeah. Good morning, Miss Linda Galloway. Good morning
Good
to
morning.
you. Correa says, I also think we lost a huge sense of community too. Nowadays, everyone is fighting for themselves. They established the new Godhead, me, myself, and I, and that's all.
Yeah. And like I said, that kind of goes back to people not trusting each other anymore, or like don't want to put the trust in somebody. Everybody feels like everybody's out to get them, or like everybody has to be defensive over what's theirs, when in reality it'd be a lot easier to just come together. Or there's so many people that can help you in what you want to do, or people's talents or gifts help other people's talents and gifts.
Yeah.
So it could definitely be a lot easier if if we would just take the time out to talk and communicate more. You can get a lot more done, rather than trying to scratch and claw by yourself and trying to prove that it's you
Definitely.
versus the world all the time.
Yeah. Because what happens with depression, Robert Bozeman is here. He says he loves the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
What happens with depression is that depression will always have you isolate yourself.
Yeah.
Will always have you withdrawing and retreating from people because depression is not your friend. So depression is not going to tell you anything that's going to be good for you.
Right.
It's going to be like, stay in your room, close the door, don't come out, don't call anyone at all. But then that's depression's opportunity to take you over and under.
Yeah. I'll say the depression for too long can, like I say, force you into, or not force you in, but can present opportunities, negative opportunities that you feel like won't matter. Like you'll get into things, like I said, if you're already depressed and you feel like nobody cares, then you're like, hey, I might as well do this because nobody's going to care anyway.
Right.
And that's when they get into drugs or theft or, different things, because I feel like it's kind of like a sense of worthlessness.
Yes, it is. But let me ask you, because men, and especially Black men, are the hardest people to open up and be transparent. What can you say to them to let them know that really that's your answer, that's your deliverance, that's your start to healing? What can you say that can encourage them that it is okay to talk to someone?
Well, it's definitely okay, and like I say, you can just find somebody that you trust to be able to talk to things about, because you can't talk to everybody about everything.
That's right.
So you have to get you a group of people, and even with my friend groups, if we're all together, and we'll just all ask like, hey, how was your day today? How was work? How was this or that, or we kind of give them a chance to vent, because it does take pressure off your shoulders, makes you less tense, and then you can kind of get answers, that you wouldn't necessarily think. You know what I'm saying? Like it's definitely okay, because everybody has to talk to somebody. You don't want to bottle that up, and that could turn into anger, or internalizing certain emotions can even make you sick physically.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's good to find like a release point, or at least a certain hobby that you can get into to release stress or whatever, or even just writing stuff down. Then it's okay to have emotion.
That's right. And let's ask the audience too, what do you all find has been helpful to you or someone when you've been depressed or overwhelmed? What has helped you to come out of that? Was it a phone call to a friend? Was it a hobby, some type of positive distraction? Was it exercise? What has helped you all to come out of that state of depression? Because one thing is for sure, we will all face depression in this world. And especially as crazy as it has been for the last several years, and it's getting crazier. You know what I mean? We're all going to have depression. So we're here to help one another to come through some things. Good morning, Angela Wilson. Janelle says things went from unity in the community to team of me, and people forgot about each other. So it's so sad, but so true. Right. Marva Bozeman says her faith. And I'm telling you, I don't know how people make it without God. I do not know how. I'm a type of therapist that I see everyone from every walks of life, and everybody doesn't have faith. You know what I mean? Right. But without God, with God, you're suffering right now, but it's a moment in time.
Right.
And that he's going to bring you through that.
Right.
Marie says, Correa Scott, kindly send me a friend request for your private reading, you can also message me for any spiritual spell. You're blessed. All right. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. So we're talking about depression and suicide, and we know that suicide is final.
Right.
After suicide, there's no coming back. So it's a permanent fix to a temporary problem. Your problems are temporary. And even if they're not so temporary, say like if you have a Vietnam vet that comes home, he's a double amputee, he's depressed because he's a double amputee. He
Right.
probably, I mean, they have prosthetics now,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, that can enable them to walk in, but their loss is permanent.
So you never get that feeling back.
You'll never get that feeling back, but we learn how to function with what we have. We learn to live with it, and it becomes your new normal.
Right.
Brittany Bozeman says, definitely for me, being around family, getting a simple, but what does that say? Text, a simple text, letting me know everything will be okay. And most
importantly, the peace of God that surpasses all of my understanding.
Yes, absolutely. So she's talking about family. She's talking about the communication piece, and she's incorporating her faith as well.
Right.
Because depression can come from anything from the loss of a job to a loss of a loved one. You know, we're talking about grief, because grief is like extended depression. Grief comes in waves. Some big hard waves will come crashing in.
Yeah.
Some days it'll be soft and mild, it'll just brush up on you.
Right.
You know, just a little trigger because you may smell something or see something, you know. So those are what we call triggers. But grief is like extended depression. Some people get depression, financial depression, because their money is not where it needs to be.
Yeah.
So what we have to do is make sure that we're doing our part to alleviate the stressors. If it's a financial depression, what can we do to make sure we're okay? Do we need to take some things off, go without some things, stop
Right.
eating out so much?
Right. So you have to be able to adapt to your situations, or be able to, or be willing to help yourself. You know, I say there's always going to be obstacles or adversity, but it's up to you to kind of work your way through that, or seek the help that you need. You can't stay in that mindset
Yeah.
for too long, you know, and because like I said, it can affect you physically as well as mentally,
Yeah.
and it'll ruin your whole day.
It will. If you
hold
let it, you're the chooser.
Yeah.
You're the chooser. Your situation that you're in is what you're in for now. I always say that everything is a moment in time, because this too shall pass. But for the time being, you're in it. But you get to choose who you want to be and how you want to be when you're in it. And this has everything to do with your mindset. You get to choose. You know, do I want to be sad and depressed, or do I want to apply radical acceptance?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I'm saying that you don't want to have to. You do it for yourself. You don't do it for what people may think, or the crowd around you. You do it because you want to be the best version of yourself
In every situation, even in your low place.
Right. And people want to you know, better their finances, or their car, or their homes, and they don't take the time out to better their mindset also. And it goes hand in hand. I'll say, if you want to attract better in your life, you have to overall become a better person in your thinking and in your habits also.
Yeah, and those are some of the coping skills I want to get to a little later, but you touched on it right just now when you said to better your mindset. What are some things we can do to better our mindsets?
Just take the time to learn how to process the situation without directly reacting to it. You take a kind of a step back and think, what could the necessary steps be or what do I have to do?
Mhm.
Sometimes you just need to decompress. As time and there are breathing techniques that help to soothe your body and your mind frame, as well as there are a lot of different um, guided. They have like guided meditations for basically every scenario or every emotion. You can find any that pertains to how you feel in that scenario. And I know from personal experience that it definitely helps. It definitely
Mhm.
helps your energy levels, your confidence, your mindset, and like
Mhm.
I said, you have to understand that there will be adversity to come. Life isn't just smooth sailing, but the people before you and our ancestors that have went through so much, they found a way to get us here. You know, so,
Absolutely.
we can bottle up some of that and have that willpower to keep going.
Yes, they had that grit and that resiliency, that stamina.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jill Walker says, yes, awesome seeing your son, my nephew, with you. Amen. Camille says, meditation and God in the morning, along with connecting with different groups online, especially with introverts or people who don't have great support systems. Larry says what helps him is prayer and meditation. I see that meditation is a thing. Exercise, come on. Now, you're the only
Yeah.
one said that so far. Exercise, oh my God, it helps everything.
Yeah.
It definitely helps the mind tremendously. They tell patients with dementia and Alzheimer's, that if they exercise like at least 20 minutes every day, that this is going to strengthen their mindset.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you guys, meditation and exercise, it's a double punch right there.
Right.
He says, and talking to someone that can give wise counsel have helped me deal with depression and overall realizing I have the power to choose to remain in it or overcome it. It is so true.
Right.
Janelle says, I surround myself with people who motivate me to be better and are true women of God. And then Larry says, an overall healthy diet is key as well. Come on now. What you feed the body, you feed the mind. That is so true. So a lot of you know that I recently became a functional nutritionist. And one thing that they really drove into our minds is that we used to say that we are what we eat, but now we understand we are what our body does with the food that we eat.
Right.
What is your body doing with the carbs you eat?
Right.
What's your body doing with the hot dog you just ate? What's your body doing with that sugar you just ate? So it's really, it's really something to think about. It makes you more cognizant of what you're putting, into your mouth.
Yeah, I say the food can affect your mind frame. Also, can make you drowsy.
Yes,
Yeah,
docile.
yeah, I say, and the food that you can eat can also help you to feel way better.
That's right.
A lot more energy. You can think more clearly.
That's right.
Because sometimes the food that you eat will put like a chemical imbalance in your body
Yeah.
and throw things off, and you wonder why sometimes you always feel bad or whatever like that. And you can make a change in your diet and you feel like a whole nother person.
That's right. And it's just amazing how everything God gave us increases our cellular structure, our metabolism,
Yeah.
our energy levels, everything God gives us. But then when man puts their hands in it, we have inflammation,
Right.
we have sickness.
Right.
We're disoriented and all of that. But if we eat things that come out of the ground, our fruits, our vegetables, you can't lose like that.
Right.
So I do want to talk about some of the signs of depression. I really want you all to listen because sometimes people have been depressed for so long, believe it or not, they don't know that they are depressed.
Yeah.
Isn't that
It becomes
amazing?
a lifestyle.
Yes, yes, but you're functioning at a low level and you don't know that you can rise above that. So, feelings of helplessness and hopelessness. Now, sometimes it may be situational. You know, if you have an obstacle or something, you may feel like it's hopeless. I'm talking about overall, you feel like that for just about every situation. Loss of interest, like you used to love certain activities
Right.
and you find yourself like you used to love to play basketball and now it's like I'm good, I don't feel like
Yeah,
going out
I'm okay.
today.
Yeah.
Right, these are things to watch out for, and we're talking about depression and suicide and learning the signs of suicide. But if we can learn the signs of depression, then we can alleviate and inhibit the suicide ideations, right? If we see that, we can better help people. Appetite and weight changes, right? You know, if you have a son or a daughter and you know they used to love to eat, and all of a sudden it's like, I'm not hungry today.
Yeah. You like what?
Right. Yeah. Come here. Let me take your
Yeah.
temperature and see what's going on with you. Sleep changes, anger or irritability. You know, you having some mood swings. Something is going on. And it can be a chemical imbalance, but we need to see.
Right.
We need to. One thing I don't like is for people to self-diagnose. And people think because you have Google and stuff that you can diagnose. Y'all quit and see a professional.
You scare yourself looking at symptoms on Google. On Google.
Right, right. You'll have more anxiety looking at Google, right? So you need to come in and see a counselor, 614-669-5115, Kimberly Bozeman. Loss of energy. You're lethargic. And a lot of people, because of the change of the seasons, they call it SAD, S-A-D. It's really seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah.
Because we don't get as much sunshine. And that's very important. And for this reason, we usually recommend like vitamin D. Vitamin D is very good for depression. And sometimes in the wintertime, we need to take more vitamin D. That's going to help your mood. All right. Reckless behavior, concentration problems. You cannot focus. You cannot concentrate, certain aches and pains. All right. So these are just some of the signs of depression that I want you all to be aware of. So some things, that William has already indicated, some things that can help with depression, and you all have as well. I love essential oils. Those definitely help because whatever you inhale goes straight to the brain. So you can get some cedar wood, anything citrus, put a dot in your hand and just go ahead and inhale that, or just do some breathing exercises.
Yeah. So you have to be willing to try, different things to see what works best for your body or for your mind. Because there are multiple ways, but you have to be willing to go out and try it. Don't be afraid to try it, regardless of whatever stigmas that we feel like come with that, or acknowledging that you need help.
Yeah,
Everybody needs help.
That's
There
right.
hasn't been one person ever that hasn't needed help doing something.
What do you say to people, because the mind is such a powerful thing? What do you say to people who tend to have a negative mindset?
To get around people who you feel like are strong mentally, who have a good sense of self-value and know how to navigate through situations.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to surround yourself in a better environment.
And check your thoughts.
Yeah.
And you all have heard me say many times before that just because you think a thought does not mean your thought is right.
Right.
We have to these are just random thoughts that come up. But we have to check. We have to see, is this thought true? Is there any truth that I'll never be anything?
Yeah, I say emotions are fickle, so they come and go. You don't stay one mood forever, so you can't let that determine. Like you said, you can't make a permanent decision from a temporary circumstance.
That's right. Emotions are very, very fickle. This is why you had to sit with yourself and challenge yourself,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of times, mental illnesses run in your families. There's a lot of ways why people can become depressed. It can be biological, it can be genetic, it can be environmental, it can be interpersonal, like you have someone in your life getting on your last nerve.
Yeah.
Run, Forrest, run. Everything in life is a choice. So we get to choose who we want to be in our. If this person is draining you, why do we stay around people like that?
Yeah. That's I could not tell you. I could not tell you. I wonder that myself.
Yes. So I say you can have a diagnosis as long as the diagnosis does not have you.
Right.
So all of us have some kind of diagnosis at one point in our life or another. But if we learn it, we can allow our diagnosis to empower us. Like if I know that I have depression, I'm going to do the research and I'm going to try to help myself.
Yeah.
In that sense, I just allowed my diagnosis to empower me because now I have the diagnosis, but the diagnosis does not have me.
Right.
Janelle says, if you just need to vent, get a journal.
Yeah.
Write things down, then throw it away. The journaling, you know what I find? Journaling is so amazing, but a lot of people are lazy.
Right.
I just have to put it out there. A lot of people are lazy. Journaling will bless your socks off. If you take time and sit down, because it's better out of your head, it's better out of your spirit and put on paper. That way you're processing it and you get rid of it.
Right.
So the Life Changer journal, I named it Life Changer because it will change your life. If you all have done that when you're grieving, when you're angry, when you're frustrated, and you pull out the Life Changer journal and you begin to process it, you will feel better.
Yeah.
But we just have to do it.
Yeah, I think as well as journaling your feelings of how you feel in the moment or how you have felt. It's also beneficial to have a journal, like a manifestation journal, also to write down how you see your life going, the type of person that you want to be, the type of like write it down as though it's happening now, and you can change your mindset, to feel better about things, or give yourself that extra push when you have goals or certain things that that you have, and you write them down as though you're already experiencing it, or you talk about it as though it already is. And I've learned from personal experience also that you can definitely change your life through doing that, and kind of helping to kind of guide yourself or keep sight of what you want in life, so you don't get yourself just kind of wander around in limbo.
Yeah. So the manifestation journal, again, so help me to understand, because I haven't heard of it. I love the way it sounds.
Mhm.
So you initially start out by saying who you want to be in the moment.
So there are different scenarios. Like if there's you can have a dream job, or a dream house, or whatever it is, something that you've always wanted. You in the when you're writing about it, you write basically make it as real as you can, down to every detail. What day it is, what color you have on, specific details, and what you see, how you feel in that moment, and you imagine that, and because your brain doesn't know the difference between what's happening and what's not.
Yeah.
So when you write down all those things down to a T, you take a moment to visualize that and live it out in your
in your now.
Yeah, and that can help to pull you closer to those goals or attract those things into your life.
Is this something that should be done daily?
Yeah, I mean, you can do it daily, or as often as you feel the need to, especially if you feel like you're having trouble getting to wherever you want to be at in life.
It reminds me of the scripture to call those things that are not as though they are.
Yeah,
Come on, somebody.
that's what you're doing.
Yes,
That's what
I manifest. That's why they call it manifest that.
yeah.
Yes, you can purchase your Life Changer Journal on Amazon and Barnes and Noble's bookstore. So true. You can also go to my website, which is healthyemotes.com, to purchase a journal. Correa says, write, and you have to believe it truly. And when we say believe it, you have to connect your feeling with it. You can't just say, okay, this is that. You have to connect emotionally with the thing to manifest it. And just because you write it down, don't make it happen. You also have to work towards that goal. Can't buy your dream house without saving money. So true. So true. So some of the signs and symptoms of depression or suicide, a lot of times we don't see that. And for that reason, I'm telling you, if you have someone who has committed suicide before and you were not aware, don't beat yourself up, because some people are very great pretenders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They can have a smile on their face and be tore up on the inside. But even if people jokingly start talking about suicide, or I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
They say it in a passive way. We have to take note of that. We got to check in with them, because it's in your head first and then it comes out.
Yeah.
Or if people start giving things away, and invaluable things, you're like, what's up?
Yeah.
Right. Now, I knew you'd never give that up. We just have to be cognizant, or like we said, if they begin to isolate and withdraw, we definitely want to take time and you can get a box of cards at the dollar store, a box of cards, and say, hey, just thinking of you today.
Yeah.
Just something small, something minute, or a flower or anything. We just have to do all that we can do to make sure that we are safe,
Right.
that we're safe. And if you saw some signs and symptoms and you feel bad, forgive yourself, grace yourself, because none of us are perfect.
Yeah, I say definitely. And also, while you see people, or you noticing signs of depression or whatever, and it's okay to try to talk to them about it, but also in the same sense, when you see people doing wrong, or you see people getting into things that probably won't end well, if you love that person, or even if you don't be afraid to tell them what they're doing is wrong, or just kind of looking out for them, even if they don't want to hear it. It's good to tell people what is definitely needed in that moment, because
tell them the truth.
Yeah, also you don't have to be their parent or whatever to let somebody know that what they're doing is wrong. If you see them, just like, hey, you should probably stop doing that, man. I don't want to see you go out like that.
That's
What
right.
I'm saying, because there's just a lot of just senseless violence over things that don't matter, whether it's over blocks that nobody owns, or a girl that's not with any, it's just a lot of stuff that goes on with our youth. And I think since December, we've already had about 11 to 12 deaths of people under 30 years old. And a lot of it comes from senseless violence, or and I believe that those situations can be avoided if their friends, or people that call your friends, will tell them that, hey man, it's not worth it,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
especially when they're so young and they're throw away their life. And there's like kids that don't even make it to 20
Right.
or 21 or
Mhm,
25. And I'm
mhm,
27, and I still feel pretty young. And
mhm.
it's just crazy that to like realize how much life these people are missing out on.
Yeah, yeah.
Because what that's almost 10 years ago for me, and people aren't even making it to their 19th birthday. So I say all of it is sad, but I believe that we could have a hand in making it a safer place,
Mhm.
and just really looking out for our youth, because they say that the overall homicides from a year ago have went down about 33%. But however, since it's gone down, youth are actually involved in the crimes 10% more than what they were
Mm.
before. And you get, they said like, let me see, I don't want to misquote, but
Mhm.
says 10% of the victims were under 18 and 33% of the victims are under 21 years old. And that alone is just, you put that in perspective.
Man,
It's just a lot going on.
it is. And the thing is that people will hang around people who are doing what they're doing.
Right.
So then it would be on outsiders. Like we can't be afraid of them.
Right. Right.
I mean, but they carry themselves in such a way where they're so disrespectful
Right.
to so we can't be scared of their disrespect.
Yeah. Yeah. I say you see all these kids, stealing the kids and whatnot. The police are calling it gateway crime.
Mm-hmm.
They start off doing that so young, and you see examples where kids are stealing cars and crashing them and killing their friends in the car, or killing. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying? It's
So
just
so how can you we have like a minute left. What can you to the Kia boys? What how can you speak into their life right now? Just take a minute to speak into their life
um.
and look at the camera and tell them.
I'll just go ahead and just say, as in, your life is short, and you don't want to make it any shorter than what we're already projected here to be. The goal should be to build up each other, and if you love your mom at all, or anybody, you don't want to put them through that type of pain and struggle. And you guys don't have what it takes to survive in prison your whole life. Nobody has money just to throw to your case, and the people that you're running around with won't be there anymore.
That's right.
So just do better overall, and each one look out for the next one.
That's right. And as a people, we love you. We
Yes.
love you. Take a whole village to raise it. I understand we have things going on. We love you and we just want you all to do better. If you are challenged and you have suicidal thoughts or anything of that nature, 988. Call 988 to keep yourself safe. Go to the nearest ER or even call 911. All right. We all will have depression at one time or another, but there is help for you. I am Kimberly B. This is my baby boy, William B. Thank you all for joining us. We love you and we will see you all next time. Talk Therapy Live, y'all.